I would like to talk to you about program management and ultimately getting to the use of makefiles to help manage your projects. What you'll see over here is that I have Eclipse, uh, Juno that we're using uh, for program development in many of our classes at Pacific. And I have projects that are created over here that already exist in Eclipse. But I want to show you how to create a project, how to actually set the project up correctly so that you can manage the project. And again, the goal is project management and also code reusability. So how did this makefile example project get created? So the first thing you want to do, and again, ultimately this is going to go to the use of makefiles. So we're going to create a C project. This could very well be C++ project, whatever you want. But we're going to create a C project, and this is going to be a makefile project. And so it's going to be an empty project, and I'm just going to use the Linux compiler. And the project name is going to be makefile video. That's just what I want to call the project for the purposes of this video. And then, we're good here, so just finish. And so what you'll see when you open this up right now is a makefile video project. And there are includes that are automatically included right now, depending on the operating system that you're using and the version of Eclipse and whatnot. So what we need to do next then is we need to create directories that are going to hold object modules, that are going to hold header files, um, and that are going to hold source files. You can cram everything into one directory, but that's really not the way that you want to manage a large project. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go to new and we'll create a new folder, and the new folder that we're going to create is called bin, and that's where we'll store all of the .o files and any executables we create as part of this makefile video project. And then we'll go and we'll create another folder, and the folder that we're going to create is called include, and this is where any of the .h files are going to live. And basically the .h files are going to be any, basically interface for any other project that might want to reuse the code that exists in the makefile video project. And then finally we're going to go to new and we're going to create a folder. The last folder we're going to call is src, and this is going to be the source folder of where any of our source files are going to live. Now the bin, there's nothing to copy into bin, because what's going to happen is when we make this particular project, any of the .o files and executables will be created in the bin directory. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create any files that are going to exist as .h files. Now the example I'm going to use here is just a very simple rational a program that's going to generate and show rational numbers. A rational number is an integer divided by an integer. And so first thing we'll do is we'll create new, and then now we're going to create a new, and in the include we're going to create a header file, which is going to be these .h files. And so the header file, again, because we're going to do rational numbers, we'll call it rational.h. So rational.h is going to go into include, and Eclipse has some predefined documentation, and also if you're not familiar with this notation right here, basically any .h file you only want to compile one time. So this basically says if not defined, and then this is just a variable for the compiler, that if this variable hasn't been seen, then go ahead and define it. And then the next time that this comes, if not defined, well, if it's already happened once, then this is going to be skipped. The reason that you need this is because you don't want any redefinition of code inside of the rational.h. So I'm going to get rid of all of this right now. And again, I already have this done over here. So this is a rational.h file that I've already created, and we'll take a quick look at this. It's somewhat complex, and you'll have to go through it at some point, but let's just go ahead and take a look at what this looks like. So again, this is just some documentation that we use at Pacific for our .h files, and we still have the if not defined rational underscore, h underscore. If we haven't seen this, if this hasn't been compiled, then define it, go through this one time, and then other files might include this particular file, but it will never ever be compiled. We're saying that a rational number is basically has two integers, a numerator and a denominator, and the functions that we're going to define for rational will be, set a rational, so we'll actually pass in the rational number that we want to initialize, and this will be the numerator and this will be the denominator. We can get a rational number, we can print a rational, we can check if two rationals are equal, we can multiply two rationals, divide two rationals, add two rationals, and we can use a reduce rational to reduce a rational. And I'm only working with positive values here, so don't worry that you don't see subtract. I don't want to get into all that right now. This is about project management. And so this is how we're actually defining rational. And anybody that wants to use a rational number, all they'll have to do is include this rational.h, and then there's going to be some other tricks that are going to have to happen. But for the most part, anybody that uses a rational number, all they have to do is know about these function prototypes, and then they can go ahead and use this rational .h. So the next thing we need to do, then this is typical program management. Anytime you want to write a program, you want to say, okay, how much of this code is reusable? What's the interface going to look like if anybody else wants to use this? And the first thing you're going to want to do is write the interface, and you're going to want to write this interface, and you're going to want to test these functions one at a time. Now I've done this, for the purpose of this video, but when I did this, I just wrote this function prototype in the header, and then I went down and I wrote the source and tested it, and then went back and wrote the next one, went down and tested it. Okay, so with this header done, then the next thing we need to do is we need to add the source that implements each one of these functions. And so this is going to be in the source file, and we're going to come down and we're add a new source file into source, and what we're going to call it is rational.c. So this is going to be the source file, and we're going to finish this. And now, again, there's all this created documentation, and you can go ahead and use that. But I've already done this. So rational.c, you can see that all of this is created. And so we're just going to copy that and come back. Oops, closed the wrong one. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one, come back up, and paste. So this is rational.c. We're going to save it. And now what you can see is rational.c is going to include standardIO.h, and it's also going to include rational.h. This is all of the information that is in this header that has all these function prototypes. And then this is documentation for each one, and this is going to be the implementation of each one of those function prototypes. So here's the implementation of each one of those function prototypes. And so I'll try and at some point in time, put out maybe a zipped up file of this, so those of you that might want to download and look at this code can do so. So this is rational.c. Now again, this is just the implementation of each one of these function prototypes. Now we don't have any driver yet, so the next thing we need to do is we need to go into source. We need to create a new source file, and this is going to be rational driver.c. So this is going to be the source that's actually going to test all of the rational functions that we implemented. And again, I would strongly encourage you to just do this one at a time. So we'll get rid of this, come back over, and I just have some bare bones driver here that I've already done. So we'll select that, copy it, get rid of this, paste it in. And here's just a quick look at the driver. Okay, so this driver It's going to include standard io.h, standard lib. It's going to include rational.h. Now you'll notice that this doesn't include rational.c. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. All that rational driver needs to know is the function prototypes that exist in rational.h. The linker will take care of, linking up all of this into one final driver that's executable later down the line. You can see that we create, 3 rational variables here. We can use set rational to set the rationals to say 1/2 and 2/4. We can print out a rational number. We can, print out whether they're equal or not. We can multiply rational numbers, divide rational numbers, reduce, add. All of this we can do in the rational driver. Okay? Now, the final thing is that we need to make this thing fly is, remember that when we created this, we created a file that's a make file. We're going to write our own make file. In Eclipse, you can use a default make file, and a make file will be created, but when we get into sophisticated project development at Pacific, we're going to want to have several projects. We're going to want to have make files that do what we want specifically. And so I'm just going to go to new, and we're going to create a new file. And the make file, in the next video I'll talk about make files, but the make file is either capital M-A-K-E-F-I-L-E or little M-A-K-E-F-I-L-E. Okay, so that's going to be the make file that we're going to create. It's going to be at the same level as bin, include, and source. And finally, we'll go and we'll grab this make file and we'll stick it in here. And again, like I say, in the next video, I'm going to take a look at this make file, and we'll go through this and everything in a little bit more detail. But now we've saved this off. We come down here. So, and this has been built automatically every single time. But so again, we can finally go through with this make file that we've just done, and we can go ahead and make basically run this make file. And like I say, we'll take a look at this, and what this is going to do is it's going to look for a make all, and you can see that what happens is rational driver.c is compiled and creates rational driver.o. Rational.c creates rational.o, and then these two .o files are linked together into rational driver, and all of this stuff then is going to get put in bin. So you can see rational.o is in bin, rational driver is in bin, rational driver.o is in bin, and now we can just come down here and we can go to run as local C++ application, and we're adding debug information. So I'll just choose this first option here for debugging, and you can see that basically we just ran this rational driver, and this is the output that's actually produced. So again, in summary, a quick tutorial, and there'll be several others coming on project management using make files, but this is the initial one to create a project, how to divide the project up, and what goes in bin, what goes in include, what goes in source. And like I say, I'll come back and talk a little bit more about this in future videos.